the state of Maine. I actually have caffeine here. It's the breakfast of champions. Boy, have I got a story to tell. I've got a story to tell. Uh, so, as you know, my friend Mr. R Peak, R Peak on YouTube, like RPEEK. If you don't know who R Peak is, you can go to his channel and RPEEK, and oh, look, there's a rainbow. That's kind of weird. It's not raining, but there's a rainbow. You can see it. Beautiful Maine morning. It's crisp, no humidity. I might even have to move to Maine. I don't know. There's beautiful country up here. I always liked Maine, and Mr. Peak, he lived here for nearly 40 years, and he's moving. He came from Georgia, came up to Maine, lived here for 40 years, and now he is moving back to Georgia, and there is a pumpkin patch. Look at those pumpkins. Beautiful pumpkin patch. I ought to grow some pumpkins next year. I used to do that when I was younger. But there's a lot of pumpkins out there. Holy moly. And but anyway, he moved to Maine for 40 years, and now he's in his he's up in years. He's let's see, 60. What is he? 67. Yeah, 67 years old, or darn near 67 years old, and he's retired. I'm not going to tell you where he worked because he'd probably smack me upside the head the next time he saw me, but he did a lot of jobs in his life, and he's a real interesting soul, and he's got this rat rod that I just filmed, and my SD card got filled, and I didn't even realize how long we talked without it not working, but we're gonna find out, and you're gonna see what I get to see. But anyway, so he came down. He was going to visit with me on his way to Georgia with a load of stuff from Maine. And the problem is that I'm going to turn around. It's more interesting, these twisty, turning roads. The problem was that we had Hurricane Ida, and his truck stalled out in the middle of a flood, and the waters were coming up the sides of his truck. And this is no joke. I didn't videotape it because I was really worried that it was going to go really bad, and I don't want to see that twice. So I just turned the video camera off, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I did anyway. And that's just life, and life happens, and you just got to do the things you got doing. But he videotaped it. The water's rising, the singing of Amazing Grace, and he was getting nervous and crazy things like that. And finally, he was like, the water got so high that his seat was getting wet and his butt was wet, so he had to stand up on the seat and squat on the seat. And he's kind of spry for 67 years old. His knees bend really good, and he can get in and out of windows. We know for a fact that he can crawl out of a passenger side window of a 1993 Dodge 150, D150, and step out onto a John Deere tractor in 4 foot of water that's running like a raging river of Colorado. Trees and stuff going down through there, and the video is on our peak. So if you haven't gone over there yet, go to our peak. It was not yesterday, it was the night before last, and I picked him up. We had a good time. Teresa made us up some food, really good food, and we went on to yesterday morning, found out where his truck was towed to, and we tried to get that thing to start, and we worked on it and worked on it. And we worked on that thing until finally he's like, you know what, young man, you've been working on this truck all day long. He says, why don't we just call it a day? And I don't quit. I'd still be working on that damn thing to get it going. And I'm not convinced that it shouldn't fire, because we have fire all the way to the distributor cap, and we changed the distributor cap and the rotor, and the coil's making fire all the way up there. It's just not distributing. So I think there's water someplace where it's causing that rotor to ground out somehow, even though I put a new rotor in there, but it's causing it to ground out and spark somewhere other than where it's supposed to be sparking. But anyway, he's like, well, I can just rent a car and go back to Maine. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll take you over to a rental agency. And I was a little skeptical. I didn't think that we'd get a rental car. But he says, he goes in, and the woman laughed at him. She says, everybody in her brother's car is flooded out, and you're going to Maine. We're not letting you take this car out of state to go to Maine. It's just not going to happen. So we're not going to rent you a car because we don't even have one. We have 150 cars here, but they're all gone, and you're stuck here. It'll be like 2, 3, 4 days before we can get you a car. And I walked in there, and I was like, well, the car showed up here. And she says, that's not our car. I said, well, we can go get it and take it. And she said, no, you can't. And, that's just life. And I've had coffee this morning, and it was really strong. But anyway, so Richard's like, well, I could stay here until my son comes up from South Carolina, Florence area. And I think, yeah, it's Florence, South Carolina. He said, my son's coming up here anyway, and that'll be like Monday. But I got a wedding tomorrow, and I got to be home for that wedding. So I said to him, I said, well, I don't want you sitting around for 2, 3 days. Not that you're not welcome, but he's got a wife up here in Maine that he really loves a lot, and he really likes to be with her, and I just think that he needed to go home. So I said to him, I said, you know what, Richard, let's get in the car, let's go. I'm going to take you home. And he was like, oh, you don't have to do that. I said, no, I'm going to do that. And I think he's realized that when I say something, I kind of mean it, and that was it. So we hopped in the car. I hopped in my truck, went back to the house. I called my wife. She packed me up a couple of drinks and some food for him. And, she didn't care about me, but, packed it up. And she does care about me, but it was pork roll and stuff. And I'm on a weight loss diet, so I can't be like eating pork roll all the time and things like that. So what I did was I took off. Me and Richard took off for Maine. We got in here at 11:01 last night, and I slept in a very comfortable bed, in a very comfortable bed, and it was nice. I slept like the dead. My alarm clock went off at 5 o'clock this morning, which I should have set it for 4 o'clock because I got an 8-hour drive to get home, and I got to be to a wedding in Lancaster by 4. So Mr. Pandy here needs to, move his bony ass, which I think I'm only an hour and a half out, so I got about a half an hour's time to shit, shower, shave, and jump in a motorhome and take off, because I'm taking a motorhome. Little William needs to have the place to sleep when it gets too wild for him or whatever. I might just take the car, who knows, but I like the motorhome. But if I take the car, then Teresa can drive. It'll be a lot easier. So I sure hope you're enjoying this Maine, the view of Maine. There's a swamp, and my view of Maine. And if you don't believe me that I'm in Maine, well, I'm in Maine. I got about Richard. It's flooded out. I'm going to get it going. There's just no possible way that I'm not going to get it going. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. And I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, that there is the wire that goes to the from the coil to that distributor cap has water in it. And when you put a spark like that under load and it has to jump, I'm thinking that maybe that plug wire or that coil wire has water in it, and it'll throw fire if you're not trying to force it through a carbon fiber little doodad onto a rotor that's supposed to jump a gap over to the plug and then follow the wire to the plug and spark that plug. It may be finding an easier route to go. It may be. I'm not 100% sure. Now, I've worked on vehicles before. This is a Dodge 318, Magnum 318. It's a powerful little engine, but it's vexing me. And I've never worked on a Dodge. As far as I ever remember, I've never worked on a Dodge. I'm more of a Ford guy. I've worked on Chevys before, and I don't mind working on Chevys, but I certainly am glad that it is a Dodge for the spark plug aspect of it. I just wish that Dodge had put the distributor cap at the front of the motor instead of the back of the motor, because it's a real pain in the ass to get to that thing. And I mean a real pain in the ass to get to that thing. So yeah, that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So anyways, I'm just moving right along here. I'm in Maine. I'm a little tired, but I got 8 hours of driving to do. And actually, this guy in front of me, he's motoring right along. He's going about 55, 60 in a 45, so I'm pretty happy about it. Well, it is a 55, so he's kind of going the speed limit. And last night, I hit an animal that was laying in the middle of the road, and I was like, God, I hope that wasn't a porcupine. Because if that was a porcupine, I just ruined 2 tires. But it wasn't a porcupine because the tires had air in them this morning. But yeah, I don't know what was in that coffee. The flooding is in New Jersey, and I'm in the state of Maine right now. Wow, there's a beautiful lake. Look at that. I can't even pronounce the name of that lake. Dermacosta Lake. There's a lot of stuff up here, and I'd really, really, really like to spend some time up here in Maine. I mean, me and Teresa, yeah, were we up here? I don't know. Anyways, I'd like to spend a lot of time in Maine. It was really fun to come up here and wander around, other things like that. I've been to Maine many times in my life. I just always felt that it was a beautiful place, but the only time that I can come to Maine is in the wintertime, and wintertime in Maine is kind of rough. It snows here a lot. The tourism is dead. And you can walk on lakes, you can't float on lakes. Boy, there's a yard sale. And here's a problem with this too. You get Elmer's Barn Antique. Wow, there's an old wooden sailboat out there. That's cool. It's amazing what you see here. I should probably turn that around because you guys aren't able to see anything but this white, balding, old, middle-aged man. Yeah, so now there's nothing to see. Yeah. Well, school must be in session. Here, this will tell you. Maine, ME. Did you see that on the side of that bus? Or now you know SPC. I don't know what that is. Kennebec County line. Kennebec County, Maine. That's where I'm at right now. And it looks like there's a front that I'm about ready to run into, and there's rain on my window. Starting. Let's see. Some logging stuff. Let's see. Maybe there's where I want to be. I gotta set this thing so it's on automatic. I really like for y'all to see what's out here. The minute I turn this thing around to look at myself, then it's going to, there's going to be something interesting to see. But Maine is a beautiful state. There's more school buses. Oh, that's a neat way of doing the siding on your house. You see some different things up here. And Teresa's like, you got to give me lobster. And Richard was like, he says, if you know anything about Maynards is what they call the locals that have lived here their entire lives. And Maynards, at one point, people started coming out from the south here, New York, New Jersey, and other states down south of here. They all wanted to eat lobsters, and the Maynards are like, what the hell do you want to eat them bugs out of the sea for? He says, we ate them all our lives. We're so sick and tired of lobsters. That was cheap food back then. He said, they're just garbage eating bugs. And I agree. I'm not a fan of lobsters. And when I see a lobster, I see some alien that wants to just get away from you. But I don't know. I've had it, tasted it, and I'm thoroughly convinced that the first person to eat a lobster had to be starving half to death before they cooked it. Because there's just anything that's that ugly, is, not something you really want to eat, in my opinion. So, but that's just my opinion and don't count for much. But here's some agriculture activity. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, squash. There's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of stuff that used to be out there too, and they're gone. But there's some farming activity up here in Maine. They got a short growing season, but God, I don't see no stop signs or nothing. Wow. But anyway, I guess I'm gonna shut this off, and I'm gonna have to get serious about passing cars and driving fast. We don't want to have any evidenciation about me speeding at 900 miles an hour in the backwoods of Maine. I might hit a moose. You know, it'd be cool to see a moose though. It'd be worth it to come all the way up here for a moose. Mr. Peak, there's a pontoon boat. I know he's thinking about getting a pontoon boat. He wants a pontoon boat, and I don't blame him. Those things are like fun. Anyways, I'm done. I've had too long of a day already.